Make the most of the last weeks of summer and keep your car ready for every mile ahead. Stop by Valvoline Instant Oil Change for a 15-minute drive-through oil change. Stay comfortably in your vehicle while trusted technicians change your oil and check your tires, lights, and essential fluids. No appointment ever needed. Just drive in and get back on the road. Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Visit BayAreaOilChange.com for coupons. That's BayAreaOilChange.com.
Hi, I'm Renee Scherzer, and welcome to the Lightwork Podcast, a place for conversations about leadership, faith, family, health, purpose, and the deeper work that shapes who we become. Lightwork is an inner work that grounds us, and today we're talking about perhaps one relationship we can never walk away from, and that's the relationship we have with our own body. Most of us can remember the first time we became aware of our body in a critical way. Maybe someone made a comment, maybe we compared ourselves to another person, maybe it was a number on a scale, or becoming older, watching our body change. Somewhere along the way, that pursuit to become healthy maybe also grew to become a state of anxiousness and guilt around food and eating. So as many of us are also raising daughters and sons in a world where they're exposed to messages about bodies, food, fitness, and appearance all day long. So how do we pursue health without becoming obsessed with it? How do we teach our children to take care of their bodies without teaching them to fear food or judge their worth by what they see in the mirror? And how do we do this as adults, finally making peace with our bodies that we've spent decades trying to change? So today I'm joined by a very long-term dear friend of mine, Dr. Morgan Francis. Morgan is a clinical psychologist, a licensed professional counselor who specializes in eating disorders, body image, relationships, and mental health. Through her practice, Scottsdale Premier Counseling, she works with adults, teens, and young adults and has made it a part of her mission to help end the stigma surrounding mental health. She also has an important voice in the conversation around orthorexia, the point at which the pursuit of healthy eating can become rigid, consuming, and unhealthy. She's married to a fantastic husband, Jason, and has 3 amazing children. So welcome, Morgan. I had to read all that because there's so much I could say, and I just, first of all, adore you. I was so excited about this conversation.
Well, the feeling is mutual. I adore you, and I'm very excited to be here and oh my gosh, we have so much to talk about today.
I know. Well, it's not the 33 questions I sent you. I send her 33 questions. She's like, Renee, I think I usually get 5 or 6. This is going to be a lot. So I kind of started with a little bit too much of a top funnel. But I was sharing with Morgan before we started that I think back to when my body image started, and one of my most favorite pictures of myself was when I was about 1.5, 2 years old with my big belly and a little 2-piece bikini. And I think how precious she was. And at what point, along the way, did I start comparing myself and start feeling bad about my body image? You've worked with so many people, men, women, children. Where do you find that idea of body image gets rooted or started in most people?
Yes, the etiology can be multi-layered. And so definitely it can start early. So we're seeing research show us that as young as ages 3 up to 4 or 5, children can start feeling unsafe or uncomfortable, even curious, but in a way that's inviting judgment around their body shape and size. And we also know that 90% of body shaming can happen by people outside of yourself. So it's not just internalized body shame, but from the outside we experience body shame. And within that 90%, the category that is the highest is from our mothers. But we can also receive it from coaches, aunts, uncles, grandparents, teachers, and classmates. Wow. So it really, for many of my clients that I've worked with, it has happened by different types of people, but nonetheless, it has happened.
Wow. 3 and 4 years old.
Yeah.
We talk about the money story and how it's rooted when you're about 5 or 6. And so I hadn't thought about that how much you're also influenced by your body. So I did grow up with my mom with, her jazzercise and wanting to make sure she looked good in pictures and what she was wearing. And I could see that probably is where mine started, is how important it was to her.
Oh, very much. It's very important to mothers that their daughters are seen as pretty.
Yes.
That you are an extension of me.
Yes.
And therefore, how you are evaluated by your physical appearance as a reflection of me.
Yes.
And then we've also seen daughters who have, become pretty and now become a source of competition with their mothers, because the male gaze is now looking at the daughter more than it is looking at the mother. And now once something that was more neutral now becomes a sense of competition.
And I can see this. So my daughters, and they're 18 and 20 now, which is crazy.
I know.
And just walking recently in California with them and seeing older men watching them. Now, I didn't feel competitive, thank goodness, but I did feel like I wanted to punch them because it was old men looking at my daughters, and it was very disturbing. So, I think about our generation too, and about where we still, like, I think back of even when I started stepping on the scale, and Natalie had this where in about 6th grade, she had a friend asking her what she weighed, and they didn't want to get past that 68 pounds. It was not to get to the 70 pound, because at 70, that was fat. And so I start thinking about, I still have that. And so do you find too, where once we get that root of where our ideas about our body stem, that it's hard to uproot them and even as we get older?
Yes, and specifically with the scale. I mean, you're bringing up a really good point. So I have a lot of women who don't want to break up with their scale, that the scale determines how their day is going to evolve, what they eat, what they don't eat, what they wear, how they interact with people. And we have research to support that the scale affects our social relationships and our confidence, and how we actually even present in business meetings. So one of the main things is I really try is to have my clients not utilize the scale because it's worthless information. The scale doesn't give me anything about your medical health. It's just a number. And so to allow that number to have that much power over you keeps you in a very victimized position. And, a lot of the work that I do is about body empowerment and feeling better about your relationship. So yes, the scale is definitely something people have fixated on for many years.
Well, and certain scales when you go to the doctor, like I'll admit to this, like I turn around.
Absolutely.
I don't even want to see what the number is because then I don't want it to change my day. And even like I have 2 scales. We've got one that's digital, one's in the closet that has like one little knob missing, and it usually registers like 2 pounds lighter. And so I go in, and even though the number says no, I kind of have to do the mental math a little bit, but then I try not to think about it. And so it does like still get in my head as much as I'm working hard about what my body does, not what the scale says. And that's what we try teaching our kids. But some of those old beliefs just kind of take root. And do you feel then, not just the younger generation, but all generations, where social media has also taken that? Because not only are you, if you step on the scale, but then your first moment that you log into, you go onto your phone, now you're also looking at these images of perfection or false perfection. Do you feel like that combination can be a little bit of a perfect storm?
Absolutely. So social media plays a very critical role in the relationship that we have with our body. And so for a lot of, I would say, teenagers or young adults, their algorithm is really going to try to target their insecurity. And this has actually been proven through the whistleblower Frances Haugen that worked for Facebook, that what Facebook found is that when girls are experiencing insecurity or having poor self-esteem, that instead of getting off their phone, they actually spend more time scrolling their phone. It's quite the opposite. So they are continuing to take in more negative messaging around their body image. And then that ultimately, over time, can affect their confidence, their body trust, their body respect, and their safety within their own body. So I stop listening to my body, and I stop trusting my body, and instead I'm trusting the person that I'm watching. And so they become the expert of what's best for my body, whether it's due to what I'm wearing, how I feel about my body, what I'm eating, what I'm not eating. And so there's a lot of fear mongering on social media and comparison. So one of the things I really do when I'm working specifically with teenagers and young adults is I'll ask them to pull out their phone, and we actually go through their Instagram together or their TikTok together, and we get rid of the accounts that are making them feel insecure, and that could be their bestie. And we just put that bestie on mute. And then we also add the accounts that represent body diversity and represent their body itself and give much more positive and even neutralized advice around their body image.
So you brought up such a great point, because I've been learning so much about social media and the algorithms, and I see what keeps popping up on mine. Yeah. And I started shifting what I was looking at, and it shifted my algorithm. So that is great advice, because just simply going in and telling, I of course have daughters that have gone through these issues, and it still cycles. It still cycles for me. Is not just stop following, because your algorithm is still going to put those people back into it, but now start training your algorithm to follow it. So not only are you stopping following, but you're also almost retraining the algorithm that what's going to pull up when you go to your feed.
Yeah. So if you watch a video that has to do with, let's say, what I eat in a day, the algorithm then will send you marketing ads for food and for supplements and for dietary types of, all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's so much to it, but the algorithm is sophisticated. It knows exactly how to monetize on your insecurity.
Well, you should see what Chris bought last week alone. He showed up, and they must have heard of us talking about him not hearing, because he bought an ear cleaner. And I'm like, what is your algorithm on social media? He also bought a big poster about the Constitution for us to learn. So I'd love to just see into Chris's algorithm. But there's something that I've seen, and if you don't already follow Dr. Morgan Francis, you have got to follow her on Instagram. I mean, there is just so much information. Orthorexia. That was something I had to look at it a couple times. I even said it to you. I'm like, am I pronouncing it the same way? But when I read it, I was like, oh my goodness gracious. Like, it's like putting me up to a mirror in some of it. Can you explain to somebody who's listening who may not know what that means? Like I didn't.
Sure. Orthorexia is the obsession with being healthy. And so it's important to recognize that it's actually not a clinical diagnosis in the DSM-5, which for those of you who don't know what the DSM-5 is the Diagnostic Statistical Manual that psychologists use to diagnose so that we can create a proper treatment plan for what you're coming in for. So as of right now, orthorexia is not in the DSM-5. However, there's a lot of support to show that it will be coming out in the next edition. The next edition hasn't come out quite yet. So with that being said, orthorexia is the obsession of being healthy. And so, it's challenging because, of course, we all want to be healthy.
Yeah, it's praised.
It's very praised. And that's what makes it very challenging for any of my clients that are struggling with it, because they're hearing, you look so good, you're so disciplined, I wish I had your willpower, I don't know how you do it, if it was me, I wouldn't be able to do that. And so it pedestalizes this type of mentality that I'm special, I'm disciplined, I know better, I'm elite. And so that's part of the diet culture mentality is the pedestalization of certain body types and certain behaviors over others. And so the reality is it's obsessive, it's rigid, and it really can be very problematic.
Well, because I know people then that won't even put themselves in situations because they're afraid that they're not going to be able to honor that.
Oh yeah.
And they're avoiding
they won't
social interactions, they're avoiding people, they're avoiding, and it's like their whole life then becomes this very structured linear path. And it's it's very when I started looking at, I used to again think, because I have certain people in mind that I was like, God, they are so disciplined. And I'm like, I love my sugar, like I'm good, but I'm not, and I like to have a cocktail, once in a while. And so, but then I started seeing these other people, and but it got me thinking about myself, like, oh gosh, I don't have that willpower. And so there is some part of that, when people are doing it, they do feel there's superiority about it. And so how do we define, so you've known me for over 20 years, I watch, what I eat, but when do we know, because I'm also raising 3 kids, and now Ethan's on his fine path, I've got girls that are athletes. How do I look at also their diet or my diet? And for someone, who's listening, thinking, is that me? Like, how do we know what is healthy and what is maybe that where we venture into that unhealthy gray to black area?
Typically, it's not so much about like the food choices. So for example, I don't like to eat fried food. It's just not something that I enjoy eating. I mean, I love other foods, but fried food is just not something I prefer. So I don't have anxiety or guilt around it. we're working or talking with someone who has orthorexia, they actually have anxiety or guilt or even shame around their behavior when it comes to food. So, for example, it interrupts the quality of their life. So it, like you mentioned, it interrupts their social life. I was working with a woman that, you know, she's very successful. She owns her business and she would have to travel, and she refused to stay in certain hotels because she knew that she couldn't get certain items of food. She wouldn't go to certain conferences, or she would pack her food for the conferences, not out of any allergy or medical health reason. It was primarily because she wanted to be quote unquote healthy, but it's really having this severe sense of control, right? And it's very rigid. So it causes disruption in the quality of their life. Like it brings anxiety, it brings guilt, it brings in the shame. And so it makes life very difficult. So none of my people that I've worked with that suffer from orthorexia are happy. You know, these are not people that are like, I'm living the best life. These are people that are really struggling and feel anxious around food and their choices around food.
Well, and I know plenty of those people. And then there's also a part where they make you feel guilty if you weren't up at 4 a.m. working and they didn't see you in the gym. And so it's like their sense of control too. And I've not perfect there either. You know, there's times where I'll eat something or I'll lose sleep because I'm obsessing over what I just ate that day. And so I really, as much as I try to work hard at it, I still go in my own head that, Renee, you know, it's that self-talk. Like, why did you eat that? And I've been really cautious now. Athletes, we want to talk athletes before we start talking about as parents, raising athletes. Now, Chris grew up as a wrestler. So you know how that works, where they're trying, and he's not a large man, so they were like trying to get him down to like 120, something along those lines. I've got, you know, my daughters who you've got basketball and track, and Addison in particular, my younger one, went from going short distance to now doing not just the shorter, you know, the 200, 100, 400. Now she's doing longer distance. Now the longer distance body is built leaner than a short distance runner. So there's that comparison, but also coaches. So what would you say to parents or even people who are coaching with these kids when they are working for this, and you've got 3 kids that are athletes as well. And what would you say to the coach and the parents with athletes younger or maybe even in the collegiate level?
It's really hard. So when they're active in their sport, I mean, I have worked with coaches. I have worked with at 2 different college counseling centers. One is a Division III, one is a D1 school. And there's a tremendous amount of pressure for these athletes, you know, to perform at a very optimal elite level. So oftentimes I try to explain it to them. And again, let's look at your labs. So I think, and that's truly what I do with almost all my clients is we need to get your lab work done so we know what your baseline is. We know because the blood don't lie. So
I totally believe that.
So a lot of it is, okay, how can we optimize the best way that's going to be safe for your body, whether it's weight gain, weight loss, training for speed, high endurance training. I mean, all of it's so different. And so then how do we nutritionally support that training and working truly with a nutritionist who's not going to try to starve your body or create amenorrhea, which is the loss of your menstrual cycle, which a lot of my athletes do end up experiencing. So how can we support your hormones? How do we support your menstrual cycle and to optimize it? And the body will tell us. The body will show us injuries. The body will show us fatigue. The body will show us lack of sleep because
sleep is a big thing.
Sleep is a huge thing.
And what tends to happen, so we've got our Aura rings, and it becomes sometimes a little bit like, we call it Dr. Aura as a joke, and we compete with your sleep score. That can get a little obsessive and anxiousness about that in itself, which I know you're laughing, but that's so us.
I love you guys.
You're so cute, Renee.
I love the competition.
Yes, we're a little competitive, but the in track we've seen and experienced the loss of the menstrual cycle, and that is a big thing that we're seeing and hearing more so. And so I love what you said about getting a nutritionist involved and getting that, because the hormone and the imbalance and where it could go to, it has a ripple effect.
Yeah, so what ends up happening is the body is in starvation mode and it's not getting the proper nutrition to support a woman's menstrual cycle. So the brain's having to work overtime. So I often tell my clients, a starving body is a starving brain. So you're going to then have other effects, whether it be your thyroid, your heart, your GI. So, I mean, all these are connected. I mean, I can't tell you how many women I've come in, they're like, I'm so bloated, or I experience acid reflux, or, you know, in my world, I call that gastroparesis, which is the slowing down of the digestion of your food, which can cause bloating, constipation, gas, acid reflux, heartburn, you name it. And yeah, because you're not eating enough. You're not eating consistently enough. Your body is, your body's letting you know it needs more food, but aesthetically, they don't want to eat more food because they want to have a certain body type. So that's
which
the problem.
You have put something out there numerous times, and I love that you do this. People always praise skinny.
Oh, yeah.
And can you share your thoughts? Because there are people that, and because of you, now this has been probably at least a couple of years since I saw you post something about it. I stopped saying, you know, oh my God, you look fantastic. Who's someone who maybe a little bit had lost weight and does look good? Because now I'm asking, and I have learned honestly during that by asking a different question, but like, how have you, what have you been doing that's been fun, or something like that. And we start talking, then I learn if they've had stress in their life. And they really haven't had fun because they've lost a family member. And I did learn that about the last person that had looked and seen and lost a lot of weight. So can you give the audience some thoughts on that? Because there's too much praise about thinness.
Oh, there is. So we automatically assume that thinness equals good.
Yes.
Right? That something must be going really well in your life because you look so good because, quote unquote, that means that you are skinny. And I can say without a doubt, I mean, it does not mean that something good is going on. I think you highlighted it. Oh my goodness, this friend of mine, she lost someone very important to her. I know too many people that have gone through chronic illness, diseases, injuries, financial stress, bankruptcy, grief and loss, divorce, trauma. And that is why their body shape and or weight has changed. It has nothing to do with intentional weight loss. In fact, we know with intentional weight loss that the person is 95% more likely to regain the weight. So intentional weight loss is not for the long term. It's for the short term. Yes. So I don't comment. I don't say anything about a person's appearance. And it's been a very conscious choice. Yeah. And my good friends know. I mean, I did have a friend recently who's, she's gone through her own incredible, hardworking body transformation and she's put in the time. And I wanted to be like, wow,
your work is paying off.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, I don't know how she's doing. So my big thing is, and how are you doing? Yeah. How is your life going? What's making you happy?
Well, and what's the happy thing? I love that. Because so first of all, you always, usually if they have a bright color on, I'll highlight their color. Yeah. That color is fantastic on you. It has nothing to do with their weight. Yeah. But the one thing that I wanted to just sidebar, because you're a parent too, and with kids, I'm sure you come across parents that are very competitive. And I found that with 3 kids too. So one of the things I've also taught or told people to do is because I have some friends that I love dearly, but there is always a competition about like sizing up. How are your kids sizing up to mine? So what I also started doing this last year was, instead of asking, like, especially having my youngest graduate college, it's kind of along the lines of this weight loss thing is, oh, that's so fantastic that your son or daughter graduated. Are they happy? What are they doing that's making them happy? Yeah. And not, where are they going to college? Or, asking those questions. Or did they make the team? Or did they? Yes. I'm always like, what are your kids doing that's making them happy? So I started asking those questions too. Because your comment on the weight thing got me thinking that way about that. And I thought that was so great. So before we get into some other things that I'm really kind of a juicy subject, I think I'm going to talk about parenthood.
Okay. Let's dig in.
So I know, because I've been thinking, as I was thinking about this, I had remember overhearing my sister mom talking when I in college, my first year, and overhearing them talking about that I gained weight. And I've never forgot that, hearing that. And I don't think it was intentional, but they were saying some things that just have sat with me still, all these years later. So what do you find that because you have such a wide range of ages of clients, and you've been such an expert for so long, what do you find are some of the things that parents are saying that they don't realize are having a harmful effect on their children?
Oh my gosh.
What do they not say? How much time do we have?
There's so much. Well, and I think before I get into that, one of the things I do is exactly what you just spoke about. We have these core memories of moments where our body was made aware to us. And most of it is not in a positive way. Most of it is in a either a negative or a sexualized way. So I'll create what's called a body image timeline, so that we start from birth all the way to now. And so we write down the event, the thoughts associated with the event, the feelings with the event. What did you do as a result of what happened?
Wow.
And how did you cope? And if you didn't, that's okay. But like, even if the coping is, oh, well, I ended up binging on food or I went on a diet, like that's still a result of what happened.
Wow.
So body image timeline can be a really effective place to start to understand, again, your own relationship with your body, because that truly shapes the way that we think and we feel about ourselves. So body image is part of our self-concept, or how we see ourselves. So that's one of the things that I do. So that would be something that would go in your body image timeline, right? Like, hey, I was in college and I remember my mom and my sister talking about my body. And when I think about it, this is how it changed the way that I think about myself and or them. Right? So that would be something to do. But as far as, you know, some of the things, I mean, it's anything and everything. It's just it's the comments not only to your child about their body, it's also the comments to about your body in front of your child. So one of the number one questions I get asked is, how do I make sure my daughter has body confidence? And truly what the mom is asking me is, how do I make sure my daughter doesn't hate her body like I've learned and to have hated mine for so many years? And my answer is always the same. It starts with you. Children learn through social modeling. Monkey see, monkey do. So if you want your body, if you want your daughter to have a safe and confident relationship with her body, you have to start to change the way that you talk and you treat your body. Because we cannot expect our children to do it differently. So I grew up in a home where my mom was very positive about, you know, my body, and for the most part, and then, you know, would obviously have other areas that were not so good. But what she didn't do well is that she was really unkind about how she was either aging or her own weight gain or her weight fluctuations to herself. So I was always told that I looked like my mom. So if my mom's unhappy with her body, then is she really happy with mine? So it creates this confusion for a child, and it creates this discrepancy, like this internal conflict of like, I don't really understand. I'm being told that I'm pretty, but yet my mom's pretty. Everyone tells me that my mom's pretty, but she doesn't feel pretty. So it's really important that mothers really learn how to have a positive body image. And again, a body image starts from our head all the way down to our toes. It's in how we think, we feel, we react, we talk, what we do, what we don't do in regards to our bodies. And so I don't talk about my body. I don't talk about my children's bodies. If I do, it's more for comfort, movement, strength,
what it can do.
It's functionality over aesthetics. So really working on, what does my body do for me? How does it support me? Versus how does it look?
Well, Natalie was being bullied in her earlier. She's always been athletic, but she's always been a pretty girl, or cute little girl, and so the boys tend to like her. Well, she had the girls commenting on her hair in her arms, and we would, and that started getting in her head. She was like, Mom, can I get rid of this? You know? And so we started talking about what her comeback would be, and it was how far she could throw a football. And how she could make shots. Remember that?
Yes,
I do. But I heard something recently, and so parents listening, this was one thing I heard that really struck home, and knowing we were going to have this conversation, I wanted to make sure I brought this up. I had a younger girl who's approaching the age, she's getting married, going to have children, and she said, or would have children. She says, I don't know if I want to have children because my mom still holds on to the 20 pounds she had when she had us. And she's actually considering not having children because she had heard her whole life how her mom still had the weight from being pregnant. So that is like, those are those little things that people don't realize, because I'm sure that mom wasn't intentionally doing that, but hearing that year over year of, I still have my baby weight on, and she's, the kids are teenagers and early 20s. So, but that is interesting. Now, for a mom who says, I have really screwed this up. I've shamed my own body. I've talked about food. Is it too late?
Never. I truly, being in the field that I am in, I completely, wholeheartedly believe in repair. Mm-hmm. And I believe in the power of forgiveness and change.
Yeah.
And no question, I think that we all are very capable of change. And we have the opportunity to do better.
Yeah.
And once I know better, then I can become better. Yeah. But it's a hard conversation to have with, I see it quite often. I have a lot of moms who mean really well. Mm-hmm. I mean, the intention.
And even fathers.
Yes. And fathers too. And I mean, we could get into dads too, but, I have a lot of parents that mean very well and are trying to be quote unquote helpful when it's not helpful.
Yeah. Yes.
So, it's some of the things I'll do is I'll have my young adult and then I'll talk with them and prepare them to bring their parents in. Okay, we're going to have this conversation.
I love that.
And we're going to talk about boundaries and we're going to talk about what feels safe and what doesn't feel safe. And you don't have to explain yourself. Yeah. I am here to support you. Yeah. That is my job. And so, and there's been such amazing, brave discussions I have been privy to witness between their young adults and their parents. Yeah. And I'm really, really, I can say I'm so proud of my young adults who've been able to have these conversations.
And when they learn that, think about how much further it's going to take them with how they communicate.
I know.
So I had a parent come up to me, and I'm sure she'll listen to this too, but just in this last week, and I was telling her about, she had listened to another podcast, I was telling her about this one, and she said that's perfect. So, because her daughter has gained weight in college and is uncomfortable with it. But how does a parent navigate that when the child recognizes it, doesn't want it to be, an issue because she knows it, but how does a parent help them feel comfortable with the journey or where they're at, or rather than just avoid it? Is there anything they could be doing to help that young adult?
Well, I think it's really important to normalize our body weight and shape can change.
Yeah, I think. I shouldn't be in the same size zero that I was in.
We don't get upset
elementary
that if my shoe size went from 7 to an 8.
Yeah,
but yet we get upset if my waist went from a 6 to a 10. Yeah. So again, that's because of the diet culture and the messaging. So I think it's important to normalize that our body can change in the weight, shape, and size.
I love that.
In both directions, right? Because I've had, plenty of young adults, they will leave their home and actually they're doing great.
Wow, that's good. So I love it.
They may now have a better relationship with food because mom and dad are not around them so much.
I like
and it's not so stressful. So there's that piece too that can happen.
Yeah.
But for any parents that are concerned about, those types of changes, one of the things I look at is what's going on in the child's life. Clearly going off to college is an adjustment.
Yeah.
How consistently are they eating? So, the word healthy gets thrown around a lot.
Oh,
so how I define health or healthy eating is volume. Am I getting enough? And variety. Am I getting a variety of food? And I will say, honestly, most of my college students are not.
No.
They're not getting a variety of food. They are eating out of convenience. They are eating out of, whatever's around. And so, no, they're not going to get...
can afford.
Yes, exactly. The accessibility and the affordability of food.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, let's be honest, are drinking. And so they're not eating as much because they're drinking and they're spending their money on alcohol. So having conversations around food, having conversations around alcohol, and understanding, okay, these changes, how can we help your your child, your young adult, your college kid, versus assume that the weight gain is something negative?
So I love that, because one thing I've talked to my kids about was when they start feeling a different feeling, they think it's wrong. And so kind of like what you're saying about the weight thing, that a different size doesn't mean it
doesn't mean it's wrong.
So when my kids are feeling like anxious or scared or something, I said, oh, that's a new feeling, you know, that you haven't felt in a while. It's just a different piece of it. Yeah, exactly. I don't say, oh no, you're scared. You're never supposed to be scared, or you have anxiousness. It's like, okay, well, let's talk where the root cause of this was. And then just know it's just a feeling. Don't give it the energy and power and feel like it's going to escalate to something, you know, that you can't control. And I love that you did that with the size. Because to me, that the communication, even just as I learned as a mom, I wanted them to have so much, kind of like that mom that said wanted to have a better feeling than they did about their, you know, their self. I wanted my girls to grow up with positive body image too. But again, I still make mistakes sometimes where I'm like, oh shoot, these pants don't fit me anymore. And they realize they say that out loud. But I always try to course correct. So I'm a work in progress.
We all are. And I mean, I remember very clearly going off to college and I was terrified to gain the freshman 15. I mean, I had teachers telling me, don't gain the freshman 15.
Oh gosh.
And so not only did I not gain the freshman 15, I lost more than 15 pounds. And I was severely undernourished. You could tell with my hair, you could tell with my skin, my menstrual cycle was gone. I came back not healthy, medically not healthy. And yet, kind of what we talked about before, I was never more praised than when I came back from college for looking so skinny. And I was, whether it was from my family, whether it was from going back and seeing, you know, my high school, having teachers saying, oh my goodness, you look so good. This is the best I've ever seen you. So it was such a confusing message that here I am. I know I'm medically not well, but yet everyone's telling me that I look so good. So I'm not sure what to do here. And then the fear of that changing, because I don't want to lose that praise.
And the scale to start going up.
And then the scale started going up, or my clothes started to change. Like what was loose is now not as loose anymore. Can create a lot of fear for a college girl. So that's where it would have been much more helpful to have someone come in, a trusted adult, to say, are you doing okay? What's going on? Your body shape, you know, it's okay, that's changed, but what's going on emotionally?
Well, that's why I love what you're doing now. Because you have learned and you've observed and seen and participated, and there's no better messenger than you. I love the work you're doing. And so, but
thank you.
What, for a parent, is there any behaviors that if they are saying, you know what, I don't know if my child has significant issues or not. And some probably do just need to make sure they come and meet with you or get the help that they need. What's a clear sign to say my child isn't just watching what they're eating or being in a healthy journey with this, but maybe there is a problem, an eating disorder or something? What are things that maybe parents should look at?
Like food rules, rigidity, those are very, I would say red flags, like, very all or nothing type of thinking, talking about being fat or I feel fat. I'm so bloated. Having a hard time dressing their body, feeling insecure about their photos or their social media, spending more time on social media, withdrawing from friends, not wanting to go move their body, just being much more isolated in their room, whether it's binge watching Netflix or seeing more time on their phone. Taking a quick and a fast, fascination with the kitchen and food and saying, well, I don't want to go eat at that restaurant anymore. It's bad for you. Like I only want to cook my food. So being really specific about food. There's lots of different signs. I think the main thing is to talk to your kid. I mean, just the other day, I noticed that my 14-year-old wasn't eating as much. She still was eating, just for
she's just starting high school.
She's just starting high school. So here we go. We have a change.
Good luck. I'm here.
Here's my therapist at, right? So we have a change, and there's new friend groups, and there's a new environment, and this is day 4 where she's eating less. Okay. So I said something to my husband, and he's like, I'll pay attention as well. We didn't say anything quite yet. And then on the 4th day, I thought, okay, I know what she really loves to eat, so this will kind of be the test to see if she eats this. And of course she did. She ate all of it and then some, and then she was like, oh, that was so good. And then I said to her, oh, okay, I just want to make sure like you got enough in. She was like, I just think my hormones are acting up. I'm not as hungry lately, and I think I've been stressed about starting this new school. So it opened up a conversation for us to have around the academic pressures, the new environment, versus, okay, you're not eating enough, and me being critical about her body or her choices of food.
And I love that. That is a perfect way. Because what I would do too with the kids is like Ethan, especially as a boy, I would drive places where he didn't look at me face to face.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and they don't pay attention where you're driving. So you can drive. I drove long ways and go to In-N-Out or something, one of the places he'd want. And I would just be like, how's school going? Tell any new friends that you met or so-and-so there,
Yes.
And pretty soon we have a 30-minute conversation and he's just like, and we get to eventually get to the restaurant.
I love that.
So, okay, I need to talk about GLPs, Ozempic, peptides.
Yeah.
We know a lot of people on them. I don't know if all of them are medically trained. Even today, as I was cleaning up my personal email, I had 3 things sent to me, solicited about me ordering GLPs for like $150 a month or something like that. What are you thinking? What do you think they're doing psychologically to people?
Oh, goodness.
I mean, and maybe not the ones who are, if they're under medical advisement and there's other things, because it's like a race to zero, I'm seeing with some people on them.
Yeah, so I think, do GLP-1, specifically Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, and what's the other one? Zepbound. They can play a very important role in the field of, let's say, weight management when it comes to diabetes. We can even say obesity, although I hate that word. Sure, absolutely. I mean, I'm working with someone right now, and she couldn't really walk up the stairs. That's how significant her weight gain had become. She had an injury, and so after her injury, she gained weight because she was limited in her movement. And so we had talked for a long time about using a GLP-1, and so she's been on it again under the guise of a medical professional, where she's getting all her vitals assessed bi-weekly, and she's lost some weight, and so now she's like, okay, I want to use this. I'm going to go to New York City to visit my sister, and I feel better that I can actually walk in the city without experiencing physical pain.
And that's a perfect example of
like she's going to live her life in a much better way than she was living her life before. That is where GLP-1s can be extremely effective and helpful. Although we are still limited on the longitudinal effects of a GLP-1 because the drug is still so new. And my biggest concern is we're going to have another fen-phen type of crisis, right? Where that's the largest multi-billion-dollar lawsuit the U.S. has ever experienced is through.
It is scary.
What happened with fen-phen and the cardiac arrest.
Oh, well, and also just the narrative fight. And you had something that you shared about that. And also when you have the weight loss and what we've seen with people on it, it doesn't change how people are thinking about their bodies. They've gotten thinner and they're not shifting. It's like, oh no, I'm only this. I've got to get down to this. And they keep moving the needle. Yeah,
so the goalpost can move. And so I have another client that I've worked with who's utilized GLP-1s, and they've done such a good job of being able to talk about their thoughts, their feelings and insecurities. And because their body shape and size did change. And so what does this mean for me? And so how can, again, we heal that relationship with our body that has truly nothing to do with the GLP-1? So like you said, like the internal work is still there. What my biggest concern now is I have teenagers, high school students, taking peptides for weight loss.
Oh gosh.
For boys, it's for muscle growth. So there are many high school students utilizing peptides that are not under the guise of any medical provider.
That's really scary.
And it is very scary. And so I think for me, what I'm seeing is that's my biggest concern. And having, some parents give their daughters the peptides because they, again, kind of going back to our point earlier in our recording here, we have moms that are living vicariously through their daughters who, I want my daughter to be pretty and thin because that means that.
And she's my best friend.
Yeah.
So I know we've talked about social media and stuff too, and even with older women. And I think the tips that you provided are fantastic. As we before we get to that lightning round, what would you like women to hear or take from this if they are that parent and they've been self-sabotaging themselves? What's one thing that maybe is a mental go-to or something they could do to reframe how they look at themselves?
Go to therapy.
Yeah. No, I think that...
Truly go to therapy. I mean, I'm so glad. I mean, glad's is not a word that's, it's such a minimizing word, that I've done the work.
Oh, I mean, you know what? That's a perfect answer. Honestly, I think doing the work is so important.
You got to do the work.
You can't take a pill for that.
You can't take a pill.
There's no GLP.
There's no peptides for
that one. Okay, so I'm going to do lightning rounds of 4 questions before we close here. Yes. Oh my gosh, we could talk forever.
I know.
Aside from me just loving you, it's so much, and there's so much to say. Okay, lightning round. Just finish this with like 1 sentence.
Okay.
There's 4 of them. What's one thing every mother should know about body image?
That you can repair it.
Oh, love that. What should we stop saying about our bodies?
I feel fat.
What's one thing you wish every teen girl knew about their body?
That they're more than their body.
Oh gosh, that gives me chills. What's something you personally had to unlearn about yours?
That I'm more than my body.
Okay, that's gonna make me do yours. That is so good. So I think, before I get into the closing, the Lightwork Challenge, Scottsdale Premier Counseling is Morgan's amazing personal practice. And the website, I will have it also in the description of the podcast. And it's just ScottsdalePremierCounseling.com is the address. Her Instagram, Dr. Morgan Francis. So it's just how you would think, DrMorganFrances.
IS.
IS. What did I say? I guess IS. Sorry.
Like the Pope, Renee. Like the Pope.
Okay, like the Pope. That's right. And I knew that. I've known you for over 20 years.
I know you too.
She also has, of course, I think personal one-on-one therapy is the premier of what you should do. But you also have online courses too. And it's just right at the top of your website that there's online courses they could take. And there's a couple course options that you have.
So I created, I've created a couple courses, but the 2 biggest ones are intuitive eating. So how to move away from having a rigid and fearful relationship with food, and really incorporating the 10 principles of intuitive eating. And that has a journal and a workbook and lots of behavior goals that you can start to do to change right now. So it makes it very practical and hands-on. And then I also have a course for professionals that are looking to how do they help their clients with body image. And so I have like more of a course to help them.
And for people who live out of state, because you're in North Scottsdale, you do virtual therapy.
I do virtual, but I'm licensed just here in Arizona. Okay. So that's where people that are out of state can follow.
Do the courses.
Can follow my social media, and can listen to podcasts like yours.
I love it.
Yes.
Well, we'll definitely have you back on. So thank you. This is so fantastic. Oh my gosh. Like, I'm going to listen to this one over and over again. So I do like to leave everyone with a different kind of Lightwork challenge. And and this I think I took from one of your previous posts, Morgan. So if you were sitting with a younger version of yourself today, what would you want him or her to hear about their body that maybe no one told them then? And that just brings me to tears.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting with your younger self, what would you want them to hear about their body that maybe nobody told them? So thank you to all of you who have listened. If today's conversation, which I am certain it did, made you think of a mother, friend, sister, neighbor, please forward it to them. Follow us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. We would love a 5-star rating as well. And just enjoy your day, what you've learned, and just go out there and spread your light.
Make the most of the last weeks of summer and keep your car ready for every mile ahead. Stop by Valvoline Instant Oil Change for a 15-minute drive-through oil change. Stay comfortably in your vehicle while trusted technicians change your oil and check your tires, lights, and essential fluids. No appointment ever needed. Just drive in and get back on the road. Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Visit BayAreaOilChange.com for coupons. That's BayAreaOilChange.com.